I didn't just want to walk in to Burger King and be like, hey, I'm your Tinder date. He thought that there was some like conspiracy theory of me and her like planning to make him look bad or something. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new Fella Friday video. So for those of you who don't know, Fella Friday is the series on my channel where I talk about a different type of fella or boy each Friday that I've encountered in my dating life. Let's just jump right in. So today's Fella Friday is about the weirdest date I've ever been on. So I really didn't know what to title this boy because he's unexplainable to me. So I thought, you know, I'm just gonna title this what it was, the weirdest date I'd ever been on. And the reason why I thought about doing this story this week is because school is about to start again in Amsterdam next week. And every week, the first week before school starts is like the introduction week. In the UK, I think you call it Freshers Week, but it's a week where you have a little group of your like peers that you meet and you have all these parties and assignments that you can do. You go around the city, you get to know people, you get to know the city, and this story has to do with that. So basically, last year, I was going into my third year of college, and I obviously like wasn't going to any of these parties or any of these things because I wasn't a first year. It's usually a thing that first years do. But I had been talking to this guy on Tinder. We're gonna call him Ryan. So Ryan and I had been talking, and he was a papa, is what they call it, a father, a dad for these like kids. So older like students who guide the younger students are called like dads and moms. So he had a little group and he, you know, was obviously like taking them on all these activities, taking them to all these parties. So I was telling him I thought that was so cool that he was doing that, and he said, well, you know, I have an extra ticket, you should come with me to the like final party, to the last party. Like it would be great for us to meet, and we've been talking for a while, and plus like it'll be a fun party because they always make them like really huge at the best clubs. So I was like, okay, I'm usually not into like a clubbing first date, but I thought it could be fun. I was like, you know, this guy seems really cool, and like he was a medical student at the other university in Amsterdam. We have two universities here, the University of Amsterdam and the Vrije Universiteit, the VU and the UvA. And I go to the UvA and he goes to the VU, and I was like, okay, other medical students, like it'll be fun, it'll be a good time. So he asked me to meet him at Leidseplein, the main square in Amsterdam. So I bike over there and I like text him like, hey, I'm at the square, like where are you, you know? So he's like, yeah, I'm at Burger King. So I was like, okay, random. So I was like, oh, are you still with like your group? Because I felt kind of awkward of like meeting him for the first time with like all these kids, first year like students around that were like had seen him all week as their dad. Like I wanted to just like meet him one-on-one. I didn't just want to walk in to Burger King and be like, hey, I'm your Tinder date. So I basically like asked him like, oh, like, are you still with your group? Are you there by yourself? He's like, no, I'm with my group. So he was like, okay. So I was like, are you gonna come outside? Like, I don't want to just like go in there with your whole group. And he basically is like, oh, let me finish my meal. I was like, what the fuck? Like, we decided to meet, like, I don't know, I thought it was kind of weird. Okay, so I found my text messages with this boy so I can kind of see exactly what I said. So, okay, should we meet at Leidseplein around like 10:30 is what I said. He's like, yeah, of course, if you still want to. And I was like, yeah, of course. And he said, smiley face. So I texted him at like 10:30, like, hey, I'm here, where are you? And he was like, oh, I'm going to Burger King. So I said, oh, are you still with your group? And he was like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. And I said, haha, I think it's a little bit awkward. So basically he just replies like, where are you at? So I told him I'm standing in front of, there's this one building on Leidseplein called the Stad Schouwburg. So I'm like, oh, I'm standing here. And he's like, oh, I just walked by there with my group. So I say, oh really? I didn't see you. And he says, haha, I saw you, which I thought was so weird. Like he literally walked by me and didn't say anything. I was like, you could have just like said hello, like I'm here to meet you for a date. And I just said, oh, and you kept walking, ... So it's kind of weird. And then I think a couple minutes later, I stayed outside for like 10 minutes, and then he proceeded to come outside from the Burger King. He'd finished his meal and he was by himself and he went to go say hi. So I was like, okay. He was cute. I definitely was like, okay, I'm like attracted to you, like I'm excited. So we go and stand in the line for this club. Obviously the lines are huge. There's so many people here. And we stand in line and he is like talking to all these other people. Obviously like he's there like with his kids and he's, you know, a lot of his friends. It's like his medical school. But he really like did not introduce me to anybody. So he just keeps like, hey bro, hey Julie, hey Mark. Like he's talking to everyone and I'm just standing there like, yeah, you know. So I kind of keep asking him questions. I'm like, how was the whole week? Like, how was it? How this and that? How was your summer? And I'm not really getting a lot back. Again, like I'm saying, he's really just like focused on all these people around him. But he hands me a ticket. He's like, here's your ticket to get in. So we get to the entrance and we both show our tickets and the guy's like, I need to check your wristbands. So this is the part where you basically have a wristband for the whole week so you can get into like museums, into clubs, into movies, all this stuff that they arrange for you for the whole week. And obviously I didn't have a wristband because I wasn't a student and I wasn't like there to, you know, I was just going to the party. I had a ticket for the party. So I'm like, I don't have a wristband. So the security guy's like, well, even if you have a ticket, you can't get in without a wristband. Which I was like, okay, I feel like this guy could have figured this out when he asked me to go to the party that I needed a wristband. So I was like, okay. And look, here's the thing. I did not expect him to like blow up this party. I knew that he needed to be there with his kids and like he had signed up for this. This was his responsibility. Absolutely get it. But I feel like the least this guy could have done was like walk me back to my bike or tell me like I'm so sorry, or say like let's meet up tomorrow for a drink. He literally just looks at me and he's like, well that sucks, and he walks inside. And I was like, this boy, like he invited me here. I like first waited outside for like 15 minutes until he even went up to say hi to me. But I waited half an hour in this line while he was ignoring me to go to this club with him, which he invited me to. Like I didn't initiate this date. He wanted to do this. And it was so weird. And I was like, what? Like this is so crazy. So trust me, the story gets even weirder. So I'm like walking back to my bike. I'm calling my friends. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Do you believe this? Like this guy. I mean, the fact that he didn't just like walk me back to my bike or even say sorry. Oh, he was just like, oh yeah, that sucks. Sorry. Like I think he said something like, sorry, it didn't work out. But it was really fucking weird. So then the next day, I'm looking at my text. He texts me, you're very quiet. Because I hadn't like texted him, I guess. So I was like, yeah, I could say the same about you. He said, yeah, but I did have something funny happen to me today. I matched with a friend of yours on Tinder. So a friend of mine goes to the same university as him, does the same course as him. And I told him before, I was like, oh, do you know like her? Because, you know, she's a friend of mine and you, Ryan, do the same thing. And he's like, no, I've never heard of her. So I said, oh, tell me what friend. Then I can warn her that if she goes on a date with you, she probably won't get into the club and will be standing by herself. I was a little bit pissed. So he says, ha ha. And then he says the name of the friend that he'd matched with. And he says, good luck. Oh, I guess I really didn't make a good impression. Ha ha, period. So obviously he's kind of pissed as well. So I said, look, I'm sorry. I just think it's all a little bit weird. First, you're inviting me for a party, and afterwards I'm on the street by myself. And then you're texting me telling me you're Tindering with a friend of mine. Not really a good impression, no. Because I feel like it's weird, like even if he did match with a friend of mine, like obviously he's not my boyfriend, but it's a little weird to tell me while you're still like pursuing me. I don't know if you guys think these are fake. You guys can see that there are actual text messages here. I don't want to show his number, but. So, you know, I'm actually reading aloud what happened. So he says, haha, why are you doing this? I thought you would think this is funny. Obviously, you know that me and her are a match. And it's not my fault that you didn't get in. You said that you really didn't mind to go home, which I don't even remember saying this because I just remember him walking into the club. Then he says, but by the way, like I didn't mean anything bad by it. I didn't send her any type of message. I wanted to tell you first, which I'm like, dude, like if you want to message my friends, fine, but like don't tell, like what do you want me to say? Oh, message her, don't message her. I don't even know you. And then he says, have a good night, girl. And I'm like, have a good night, smiley face. Because I didn't know this guy. I didn't want to get into like a discussion with Ryan. He was like, I just deleted Tinder, feel great. He was like, I would have handled it the same way. Sorry about last night. So I thought he was like being nice. And I was like, okay, he's saying sorry. And I was like, don't worry about it. Good luck with everything. And he says, haha, you too. One more short question. So I was like, okay, what is going to happen here? He says, why did you convince her to play along? Like, it was obvious, but we could have ghosted each other. So now I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who is she? Like, what do you mean? And I guess he like messaged my friend or something on Tinder, and she like messaged back, but she obviously like knew that I'd gone on this date with him. She knew that he'd been weird, but like I think she just like was like, you know, like, hey, like not gonna be rude, they were a match. But he thought that there was some like conspiracy theory of me and her like planning to make him look bad or something. So I literally said, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Who did I convince to do what? And he says, never mind, I'll keep my mouth shut. I was like, what? This is so confused. And I was like, hello? You're the one who fucked up the date. Why do you think I convinced someone to play along in a game? I really have no idea what you're talking about, because even to this day, I seriously don't. I think he thought like me and this friend had this conspiracy to make him like look bad or to make him pay, which, dude, you ditched me on a date. It was weird, but I seriously don't care enough to try to make your life a living hell. Trust me, I have better things to do with my day. And he just said, yeah, no, sorry, you're right. And I never talked to him again. So that was the end of that. But the whole date situation was just so weird, because I was like, you invited me here, you didn't even check if I could get in, and then you just left me. Then afterwards, you're like telling me you're matched with my friend, and then you have this whole conspiracy theory. I've seen him on Tinder a couple times, like while swiping, so I guess he didn't delete Tinder forever. But Ryan, if you're out there, I would really handle your dates differently in the future, because it was very, very odd and very awkward, and I don't know what you're thinking. But I hope you guys like that story. I just had to think of it because every time I see these little introduction kids, these freshmen walking around this week, I was like, oh yeah, last year around this time, I was having an interesting date. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and I'm back every Friday with a new Fella Friday, and usually every week with another video as well, or vlog. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those.